Most people imagine the Cold War as a conflict of weapons and political speeches, but some of its most damaging battles happened quietly, inside ordinary homes. In this video, we explore how a single suburban house in London became a hidden link between NATO secrets and Moscow. If you value real Cold War history based on declassified records, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. On a quiet winter morning in early January 1961, a routine suburban street in West London became the focal point of one of the most damaging espionage revelations in British history. At a modest bungalow that blended seamlessly with its surroundings, British security officers uncovered evidence that shattered long-held assumptions about where Cold War espionage truly operated. Beneath ordinary floorboards and behind unremarkable walls, they found the unmistakable fingerprints of a professional Soviet intelligence station. What appeared to be the home of a harmless foreign couple was, in reality, a critical node in a clandestine network that had quietly transferred some of NATO's most sensitive naval secrets to Moscow for years. The discovery forced British counterintelligence to confront an unsettling truth. Espionage was no longer confined to embassies, shadowy meetings, or suspicious figures under surveillance. It had taken root inside quiet neighborhoods, protected by routine, trust, and the illusion of normal life. The individuals behind this operation had mastered the art of invisibility, not through dramatic disguises, but through patience, discipline, and an understanding that the most effective hiding place was often plain sight itself. The roots of this operation stretched back decades, long before the Cold War hardened into rigid blocks. During the Second World War, the United States and the Soviet Union had fought as allies, yet even then, Soviet intelligence pursued an aggressive campaign to extract Western industrial and military knowledge. American counterintelligence files from the 1940s later revealed a scale of infiltration that was both systematic and relentless, targeting research laboratories, defense contractors, and scientific institutions. In that environment, ideologically motivated individuals became valuable assets, particularly those willing to act not for money, but for belief. One such individual emerged from the political ferment of Depression-era New York, raised amid economic hardship and radical political debate. He gravitated toward communist ideology at a young age. When war erupted in Spain in the late 1930s, he volunteered to fight fascism abroad, joining thousands of foreign volunteers who believed they were defending democracy itself. The battlefield proved brutal, but it also served as a proving ground. Courage under fire, loyalty to ideology, and a willingness to obey orders did not go unnoticed by Soviet operatives embedded within the conflict. By the time he returned home, his path had quietly shifted from political activism to intelligence work. His partner soon followed him into that world. Their marriage was not merely personal, but operational. Soviet intelligence favored couples who could reinforce each other's commitment while maintaining a convincing domestic cover. During the final years of the war, she became a trusted courier in one of the most consequential espionage efforts of the 20th century, traveling across the United States under the guise of ordinary civilian life. She transported fragments of America's most closely guarded secret, the atomic bomb. These journeys demanded precision, emotional control, and unwavering discipline. There could be no mistakes, no visible fear, no deviation from routine. The information she carried altered the strategic balance of the post-war world. Soviet scientists, armed with insights that had taken the United States years of experimentation to achieve, accelerated their own nuclear program dramatically. What Western planners expected to take a decade was achieved in a fraction of that time. when the Soviet Union detonated its first nuclear device in 1949. The shock reverberated through Washington and London alike. Only later would the full scope of how that knowledge had crossed continents become clear. As Cold War tensions intensified, Western counterintelligence efforts expanded rapidly. Decrypted communications, defectors, and growing suspicion exposed fragments of Soviet networks operating across North America. Faced with rising risk, Moscow made a calculated decision. Valuable agents were quietly extracted, moved through indirect routes, and brought back under Soviet control before arrests could close in. From the Western perspective, they simply vanished. From Moscow's perspective, they had survived and were ready for more demanding assignments. Those assignments would place them at the heart of Britain's Cold War defense infrastructure. Re-emerging under carefully constructed foreign identities, they entered the United Kingdom as seemingly unremarkable immigrants. Every detail of their past had been manufactured with extraordinary care, from official documents to professional histories. Their chosen occupation provided the perfect cover. Dealing in rare books justified international correspondence, irregular travel, and discreet shipments, all while cultivating a reputation that withstood scrutiny. Their suburban home was selected with equal precision. It offered proximity to London without attracting attention, favorable conditions for long-distance radio transmission, and neighbors unlikely to pry into private affairs. Over time, the house was transformed into a fully functional intelligence facility. Hidden communication equipment allowed encrypted contact with Moscow, while concealed rooms enabled sophisticated photographic processing. To the outside world, nothing seemed unusual. To Soviet intelligence, the location was invaluable. The intelligence that flowed through this network did not come from dramatic betrayals at the highest political levels, but from a far more dangerous vulnerability. Inside Britain's naval research establishment, trust and tradition had created gaps in security that few recognized. Experienced personnel were allowed broad access to sensitive material, often taking classified documents home to study complex technical problems. The assumption was simple: loyalty was permanent and oversight unnecessary. One individual exploited that assumption with devastating effectiveness. Burdened by personal problems and financial stress, he became an ideal recruitment target while posted abroad. Upon returning to Britain, his access to classified naval research placed him at the center of a long-running intelligence leak. Month after month, he photographed thousands of pages detailing sonar performance, submarine detection methods, and anti-submarine warfare doctrine, assisted by an insider who knew exactly which documents mattered most. The flow of information became steady and precise. Handlers in London ensured that the material reached its final destination. Meetings were brief, routine, and designed to blend into crowded public spaces. Packages changed hands unnoticed. Cash payments left no paper trail. From there, the intelligence passed through the suburban safe house, reduced to microscopic form, concealed within everyday objects, and transmitted to Moscow through secure channels. The operation continued for years without triggering a single formal investigation. The consequences were profound. Soviet naval technology advanced at a pace that puzzled Western analysts. Improvements in submarine stealth and acoustic performance appeared too targeted, too well aligned with NATO detection capabilities to be coincidence. Only later would analysts understand that Soviet designers had been handed the answers in advance, allowing them to tailor countermeasures with extraordinary efficiency. The network unraveled not through chance, but through patience and cooperation. A defection in Eastern Europe provided the first thread. Careful analysis, long-term surveillance, and advances in signals intelligence gradually exposed connections that had remained invisible for nearly a decade. When arrests finally came, they were swift and coordinated, preventing escape and preserving evidence. What investigators uncovered exceeded even their worst expectations. The suburban house was revealed as a complete intelligence station, equipped with tools rivaling those found in official diplomatic compounds. The volume of material recovered allowed authorities to reconstruct the scale of the compromise in chilling detail. This was not a minor breach, but a systematic transfer of knowledge that had reshaped the strategic balance beneath the surface of Cold War confrontation. The trials that followed captured public attention, but within intelligence circles, the focus was far more sobering. The case exposed how deeply flawed assumptions about trust and security had enabled catastrophic losses. Reforms followed, reshaping how classified research was handled and how insider threats were identified. The lessons would echo for decades. In the end, the story was not simply about espionage, but about continuity. The same individuals who had helped alter the nuclear balance in the 1940s had gone on to influence naval warfare in the 1950s and beyond. Their success lay not in dramatic acts, but in endurance. Quiet routines, unremarkable lives, and years of discipline had achieved what force could not. Long after the Cold War ended, the bungalow that once served as a gateway to Moscow returned to anonymity. No marker hints at its past. Yet the consequences of what happened there shaped military planning, intelligence doctrine, and alliance trust for a generation. It remains a reminder that the most consequential battles of the Cold War were often fought without a single shot fired, hidden behind ordinary doors on ordinary streets. The Cold War was shaped not only by force, but by information moving in silence. This case shows how years of unnoticed espionage can change history. If you want more true stories like this, subscribe, leave a like, and tell us in the comments what surprised you most.